The Elder Scrolls V, set in the fictional province of Skyrim, is a vast world in which anything is possible. It is set in the land of Norns.
Skyrim belongs to the North!
A place that is inspired to a large extent by Celtic and Nordic mythology, settlement style, and culture, but also medieval style architecture and metallurgy. Metallurgy in Skyrim is part of a skill that can be learned and developed goldsmithing. It is part of the whole process of acquiring ore from mines or veins, usually set in rocks, smelting processes, and further refining and forging tools, weapons, and jewelry. The process is inspired to a large extent by medieval metallurgy and includes some similarities to it, but is also defined by a whole set of Skyrim lore principles, recipes needed to create particular weaponry, and other fictional parts of the metallurgical process, added to create an entertaining experience. The first step of the smithing process in the game is acquiring the ore, although this is not necessary, as it can be bought from blacksmiths, and there are a few iron mines in the landscape which can be explored. The mines are constructed with wooden platforms, and so the most of the ore can be exploited even in higher places. The ore itself is to some extent realistic, and does resemble the iron ore at Torberg mine, which was used for the procurement of iron ore in the Bergslagen district in Sweden. A long house and the whole settlement housing the miners is operating around the mine. Furthermore, a smelter is placed outside of the mine in near proximity, so that the raw ore can be transformed into pig iron ingots that will be much easier to transport to locations where it can be hypothetically worked into wrought iron, steel, or cast iron, although this is not shown in the game. Wheelbarrows and firewood are also placed around the smelter to provide charcoal supplies and transportation tools. The settlement is created in a very realistic way, which makes the gameplay enjoyable. However, the time and carry load of acquiring and stocking the materials is reduced to a minimum to create a balance between entertainment and reality. Smelters in Skyrim are equivalent to medieval furnaces, most closely resembling the blast furnace. They resemble an oven-like structure and omit the bellows and air blast that is needed for the furnace to control the heat and carbon amounts. Molten metal is the final product of the smelter and resembles the final product of iron blast furnaces, which is molten pig iron. All kinds of both fictional and real ores can be smelted in the smelter, which is very inaccurate since there are special cupellation furnaces for the creation of silver ingots, for example. The first blast furnace in the archaeological record of Europe was found in Sweden, Nordmarks, in the Lapitan site, along with a longhouse for storage and other archaeometallurgical discoveries. Most large settlements in Skyrim have only forges, but the smelters are always placed near ore sources similar to the Lapitan iron-producing settlement. The numerous slag leftovers that would have accumulated around the smelter are also not shown, but the smelters are positioned at the end of the settlements far from living quarters, which, considering the smoke and dust that they would have caused, seems quite an accurate representation, also shown in the plan of Lapitan. Although the smelter bears some resemblance to the medieval blast furnace, including its surroundings, and does the job of smelting ores into metal ingots, it has not been created to suit the complex process of carbonizing and oxidizing the iron ore to produce pig iron, later on decarburized to produce wrought iron and steel, perhaps represented by the forge in Skyrim instead. The basic tools used for annealing, tempering, and hardening weapons and armor, such as an anvil, forge, hammer, and grinder, are all present in Skyrim smithies. The blacksmiths in Skyrim are specialists in the creation of all kinds of both fictional weaponry and iron, studded, and steel armor. The forge consists of metal sheets that would have been created from the smelter that are further shaped with the help of charcoal, as well as bellows connected to a rope handle, which helps control the temperature and amount of oxygen flowing into the heart. This would technically allow the iron to be carburized and turned into steel. There are no molds found around the forge, indicating that the process of shaping weapons is done through hammering. The slag tub for cooling the weapons and armor bits is also part of the equipment and is used during the cinematic of the weapon and armor production. Most of the components that a medieval blacksmith needs are included in the Skyrim process of forging. However, once again, the time that it would take for these processes to be completed is decreased to a large extent. The craft specialization of blacksmiths, however, and what we are shown in the process of producing weapons and armor are fairly realistic and give an entertaining and imaginative experience of forging. The Elder Scrolls V is a vast world that allows many opportunities for character development, and metallurgy or smithing is a considerable part of it. The whole process of acquiring, smelting, and forging metals can be a very entertaining and to some extent a realistic process, and the creation of various new metals and ways of shaping and forging them is also an essential part of the lore and warrior experience. Whilst not a completely accurate representation of medieval or Viking metallurgy, the game has incorporated some aspects of these times.
Those warriors from Hammerfell got curved swords. Curved swords.